What do you think, Andy?
I'm just blown away by this, and it looks absolutely amazing.
So we're gonna go ahead and do all the prep, remove crucial areas, and we're gonna show you exactly how to do it. Let me just show you why paint protection is important. So this has like 700 miles, brand new car. Literally drove it from Kentucky to Chattanooga. And already right here, there is a chip from a rock right over here. You see that little thing? Here's the thing, clear, matte or gloss will show up. Color PPF will still bulge a little bit, right? But at the same time, we're gonna prevent more dings like that from ever happening again with, you know, a colored PPF or PPF in general. So this is kind of like, I think the reason for it. Like vinyl is cool, you can make this red, but it won't protect the car the same way that colored PPF will. So then basically I'll do this rinse pretty thoroughly, and then basically I'll do a foam cannon. I'll leave it, I'll rinse it, I'll do another foam cannon, and I'll basically wash it. I'll do a decontamination with an iron remover, try to get the iron off the surface of the car, and basically getting it to what it would have been like straight out of the factory. Because if you have a better prep surface, your life is gonna be way easier. So typically, you want to go in lines like that, flip it, less risk of damaging. All right, so we got it basic clean, but we're gonna go ahead and do some removals, just like that. So there we go. These are so much easier than it used to be. Grab this teeth. And once you get under, and you can see, now that I've loosened it, look how much play I have right here. I can really get some good corner coverage. I can get some corner coverage on this side, and I could also kind of lift this up a little bit to get underneath that area. There we go. Just like that, and this should come up, which it did. And there you go. Wait, hold on. Something's still stuck. Oh, it's this thing right here. And then, yep, that's it. So make sure you do a very, very thorough prep before you do any sort of install, okay? So just so you know, for the DIY wrap that we will be, doing, you don't have to do as much of a disassembly that we did for Andy's car. Once you're done with all the prep, we're gonna do a final wipe down on this, and we are gonna lay the first panel, which is gonna be the hood. One last defense before we get started, which is basically, we're just spraying this hood down with slip solution, and slip solution, and I'm gonna wet my hands as well, but slip solution is basically water and dishwash soap or whatever it is. Everybody has their own mix, but I use 7th gen, and the kits that we provide, we package ourselves. When I do this too, I kind of go a little bit around it because I'm trying to bring some of the dust around me down, okay? So then once you do that, I have my big squeegee, and if you notice, I have this little bowl, or this little, with water, and this is a really good hack. You just kind of leave it there, and then make sure that you're not introducing additional dirt, right? Or anything like that. You're not muscling anything. With most things in installation, you don't want to muscle anything, right? You just want to glide it through, and you can see I'm just kind of getting rid of some of the, and I'm kind of looking at it and inspecting it while I'm doing this. Once we do that, we're basically going to douse it again. You want every single square footage of this completely covered. And we're gonna just grab this corner right here. Yep, and I'm gonna go ahead and roll it out. Yep, grab that. Just gonna roll it out. So this is Sananju Red. It's actually a color from Gundam, if you know that anime. Some people do, some people don't. And basically what we're gonna do while we hold it up like this, we're gonna spray it. And there's a couple reasons why you wanna spray like this. One is actually static. It kind of deadens the static, and it prevents, dust and all the other stuff. But you can see it has that hydrophobic property, which is cool. Okay, so once we do this, can I wet your fingers? The other one too? All right. So if you wet your fingers, it keeps it moist, and then basically just making sure that it's not going to stick to yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and just get it started. Spray a lot. And I'm going to go ahead and see if you can grab this. Hold on. And I'm just going to start dousing it. There we go. And see if you can pull that. And then go ahead and just spray everything. Yep, and then we're just gonna transfer it and try to, yeah, there you go. You can see the edges right here, encapsulates that perfectly right here. I got great coverage right here, great coverage right here. Plenty of coverage right there. Look at that. That is such a beautiful red. I love it. Great. So I got that, and then we're gonna go ahead and do this section. Kind of move all this bubbles. You know, I have plenty right here. Oh my goodness, this is gonna look so good when it's done. Basically, any big bubbles you want to get rid of, okay? And you see how everything is naturally just fitting. Okay, so what I ended up doing is I basically have 4 corners, all of these, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got it tacked down, and then I got my slip solution, and this is something that you want to also make sure you do is spray on top, and a lot of people forget to spray on top. And use a bigger squeegee. I'm gonna go ahead and go down the middle. Wow, beautiful. Okay, and then go ahead. I'm just gonna go ahead and go out this way. Some of that water. I think a couple differences I want to notate too is in vinyl, guys, you're kind of doing more smoother motions because you're kind of gliding it through and all that stuff. But in PPF, you actually want to do more stabby motions, right? Smaller motions. So that's exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm getting all that water out. Okay. And then you never want to go back to the same direction of where you tacked. So remember I tacked those corners? And you see I'm just going away from it. I'm not actually putting anything back into that area. So no. You see there's a little bit of fingers, but I've distributed where it's pretty good. I'm good over here. I'm gonna go ahead and just work my way to the back side here again. So, and when I'm holding it, I'm kind of holding it with the 4 fingers. That kind of allows me to get some even strokes. And look at all those edges. So remember, don't go back to that. I'm just gonna go away from it like I just did, and then I could go down after that. Again, smaller motions. By doing that too, right, think about it. I'm bringing down some of this water and moisture, and it's basically kind of hydrating as it kind of goes down, so there's no dry spots. With some of these areas that have some of these fingers right here, I'm gonna spray some of that tack into that. And you can see that it actually comes down a little bit easier. So spray into that. You can see right now, all my edges look amazing, but look at that color. It went from gray to a completely new color. So one other thing too is whenever you're doing the PPF, 50% coverage. So when you do here, 50% coverage, 50% coverage, 50%. You just do that all around, get in the habit of being methodical about it. But I think that's the beauty about our kit a lot of times, is we demystify that and we say, this is how you should do it. Of course, there's more ways to skin a cat, but That is our recommended after the amount of installs that we've done. One of the most difficult part about this is going to be the edges, because here's the thing. With color PPF, you can't really just go right to the edge. You kind of have to go all around the edge. Typically for PPF corners, we actually let it rest a little bit, and then we kind of want to fold it over. And then what we do is we kill the memory of that film. You gotta be very careful because you don't want to burn it completely. You can start rolling that in. And you can see the corner looks fantastic. And I can actually start holding that over. And then once you're set in stone, you can kind of use your nails actually to disperse some of that fingers. You can also use the pink squeegee and basically just burn it. And then that's not going anywhere. And then look at what it'll look like from the outside. I mean, since I'm already here, I might actually try to get some of these edges done. Actually, this area, you can use a wrap glove. It's a very smooth glove that you could kind of go around without damaging the film. There's a couple areas like here where it's a little long, so I might trim that later down the line, but this is why we do what we do. And we just kind of test it all, you know, do some trimming here and there. But what I was looking for is, look at this edge right here. No bubbles or anything like that. And you can feel it if there's a bubble here. The corners look fantastic all around. So hood is done. Let's go ahead and move on to the fender. I mean, there's a lot of corners in the fender, and I think that's why it's challenging, right? So you got like corner, 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 corner. Let's get started. Hydrate it. I might need a hand, so. And then have the other person hold it. And before they do all that, go ahead and start hydrating. And as they do that, before they take it all the way out, they're gonna hold the corner. Okay, and then you're just gonna help me lay it down. It's already hydrated. Just do your best. Watch the bottom, boom. And really the order of install is very, very similar to, actually it's exactly almost the same, I think, as our gloss kit or matte kit. But you wanna do here, go all the way out across here, and then come back down. So this one has quite a bit of edge right here. All right, so you can see right here, plenty of corner right here, and then this one goes all the way in, plenty of material right there. Okay, we're gonna go all the way. Plenty of coverage all around. Get this down, this little, and I want it right to that bumper right there. And once you do that, look how it naturally just kind of plays really nicely right there. So it's perfect. Oh man, getting old. I might probably put a little less stretch on this one in the final design. The reason why I did that is I do want it to be tight all around right here. We're just moving all this water from that body line right here down. All right, so I got my first bubble there. It's fine. Let's see if I could just get it out. You see, just go really fast like that. Another body line right here. I just want to make sure I'm really getting into that line right there. Okay. Then, just gonna deal with that later. Look at this line. Perfect all around the edge. I like how much there is there. And then you're just gonna start going out. Okay, you see how I'm kind of working in body lines? We're basically gonna do the same thing that we did, which was body line. Basically getting some of this water out. Remember, this is the tack. Don't worry too much about that yet. Autopilot right here. We're gonna cut it out later. You could use some hot water, and what it does is it relaxes some of that tension actually. And then use some tack right in there. And then what that does is, one, it relaxes the film. Two, It'll allow you to just kind of distribute it, just like that. Love it. Kind of reminds me, this is Sinanju. If you're a Gundam fan, it's basically the red robot, right? I don't know if you guys are, but definitely grew up watching that a little bit. All right, so if you notice the behavior of this, right? I'm basically, as I feed it the Tack solution, it stays down, right? So that's kind of like the workflow right here, right? So sealing some of the smaller fingers, these are going to be really easy because if you look at it, they're small, they're nothing crazy. So all you're going to do is do it a little bit at a time. So just kind of hold it down. Look at that. Okay. Kind of do this little shimmy, I guess. You hold it and then kind of go sideways. Distribute that tension a little bit more. That's exactly what you're doing. If you notice, I kind of do this side thing like that. Then just really make sure that I have all of these edges. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the autopilot. So this is actually hot water, like piping hot water. And what this does is, you can actually see it. It starts to, and look at the hydrophobicity. We're basically just loosening it up, right? And then from here, you can actually just create a little hole. And I like pushing this bottom part down first. That's just me though, okay? And the reason why is I think it has a lot of tension right into that area. And then I start doing this and I get that deep crevice down. And then next for me is this area. A lot of tension right here. So I've kind of tried to bring this down and you can see it's a lot of tension right there. All right. Okay. Part of the reason why it's not coming down is I don't have enough Tack solution. I'm gonna go ahead and lift this up. You gotta hold that down, that tension down. And the next one is gonna be right here. Go ahead and go with my hot water. And then I'm gonna use my finger right here. Just feed it into it. And I actually just wanna feed into it instead of like stretching or dragging too much. And you can see, once you do that, just make sure that this one from the top. Okay, so I got some tension right there. Where's some of that Tack? Continue to push that tension out. And that is how you do the autopilot area. Okay, and oh, you can, ow. All right, so you can go a lot less. You could do a template and stuff. And so ours is gonna be a template. That's done. And really the next part now is just kind of waiting, but you can see that all these areas are ready to be folded over. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just basically gonna move on. I'm gonna let some of these areas just sit. So we're day 2 and we got a lot done, but we are gonna show you how to finish this up. And I think the corners are a little bit different because they do present some challenges around, how to actually cut the corners and so on. So this is a really good example right here. This is a pretty aggressive corner. And what you want to do first is kind of just shape it. Just try to push it down as much as you can. And you'll start getting these fingers right here. And once you get to this point, what you want to do is use a torch, a high temp torch. And basically you're burning the memory. And what I mean by that is this PPF is actually memory based. So it will remember where it was and it'll try to squeeze back in. But when you burn it in high temp, this is why it's important to use this torch. I actually go a little bit less material, right? And I can actually go underneath it. But that's a lot of coverage all the way up to here, and it actually shortens up a little bit. And that's actually exactly how I want to do it. Mainly because there's just a lot of room right here underneath this daytime running lights. So I can do that. Again, just making sure this line is super clean. And use a little bit more of a aggressive approach. And look at that, I'm just getting under there. You actually don't want too much material here. Over time, with it does this. And sometimes you'll see in a vinyl, it'll like start to rub and it'll create a little, it'll start lifting certain parts. It kind of looks like little dots around that area. So I actually prefer putting less and then the right amount for this area. So this is kind of like the vinyl part where you can just use some heat and it'll just go down a lot easier, but it's completely dry. So you can see I have zero issues kind of bringing this down. All right, so here's the secret sauce over here. So this area is actually quite difficult. If you look at it, it has a lot of very, very tight crevices. So this is my hack. I think a lot of rappers already do this. There's actually a 10 millimeter right here underneath. You do need an extension for that, but check this out. I can actually move it in and out quite a bit. So it allows me to really get in there without having to struggle that much. So that's pretty much it for the Fender. That's a lot of corners. I'm tired, gonna give it a break. We'll see you in the next panel. By the way, one pro tip is when you are doing this, don't close the door hard because this trim is no longer there. So it can rattle a little bit and it could damage a little bit of that window. So we definitely recommend being a little bit more gentler. And you could do it alone, but man, does it help a lot when you just have an extra hand. And you want to be a little bit more, you know, kind of overdo a little bit of the slip. I think that's one of the best tip I can give a beginner. Let's go ahead and just kind of align this. Okay, you can see that it's just sliding really, really easily. I'm just trying to flatten everything out because it's trying to kind of fold in into each other like this. So the goal, guys, is to basically give it more material here at the bottom and leave less at the top. Because remember, that's the area that's really going to be visible for most people. And you want to make sure that it goes right to here because that's a lot of tension right there that it can sit. So, and I'm focusing on the body line, right? The body line is right here. This current template, I'm just pretty much exploring. That's way too much more material, obviously. But I'm doing this to test a couple things. And I'm trying to learn exactly what we need to do. So we really appreciate everybody for being so patient, honestly, because this is something that a lot of people have asked us, but we would only release it when we feel confident that other people can also do it. So that's exactly why we're doing this process, just testing everything out. So I'm really focusing on this top part. I messed up big time. So I don't know how I did this, but I did it. I just made it really short at the bottom. So we're gonna have to pull this quite a bit. So this is gonna be a lot of fun, and I'm probably gonna not like this part, but it's okay. It happens. All this big bubble, you want it away. You want it gone. And you see there's tension right there, but that's okay. And I can move this, kind of use some tack right there. And what I'm doing is basically just making sure that I have coverage right there. And I do, right up to it. Okay. I'm gonna just spray more tack into that. It's gonna help. I'm going full coverage up here. So this is a design issue. You can see how far I am right now. We need to fix this. So this is something I'd happily admit that is a mistake, and we're gonna fix before production. So now, I'm gonna go all the way across, pull it across. I can spray a lot of the tack solution. This is hard because there's tension right there. All right, and the thing about stretching these, you don't want to stretch just the end. You really want to go from here and all the way to that area. So what I'm doing is instead of tacking that area, I'm actually tacking here, which is fun. And then I'm going down, which should help. Next is, you see all this? There's actually a lot of tension right there I'm holding. And I'm just going to focus on all this right here first. Because it's gonna keep wanting to pop back up. You can see right there from all that tension. Oh, it's popping back up. So what we do a lot in the professional space is we like to, when there's tension, we hold it and then we squeegee it. And right now, it's just very little tension all across the board. So I don't really have to worry too much. There's some tension right there, but I can kind of get it all out this way. Cool. And as I go, I still have a lot of tension right here. Hopefully you can see some of those bubbles that appear. And because of the way that I stretched it a little bit, this needs a little bit of work, but honestly, it's okay. These are one of those that will be able to be worked out as you kind of do that. There you go. You can kind of hear some of that release a little bit. So I'm just pulling it away, distributing that. Same thing here. I'm just going to pull it away, distribute it. All right, so this area is fun. You're dousing it with the Tack solution. So let's go ahead and lock that in there. And now it goes all the way to the edge. And I can kind of burn that and kill that memory. But you basically want to just pull it across, right? Not bridging too much, but try your best. There you go. Not bridging it. And then you're going to go inwards. And then really, this is a soft edge right here. Try to escape. There you go. So part of what people fail to understand with the tack is part of it is you're actually pushing out the slip and you're flushing it out. And when you flush it out, that's part of the activation of whatever the adhesive layer is, right? So it's really important. Like I got the water and out this way because I was trying to get rid of some of these bubbles that you see right here. Or not just bubbles, but like foam, right? From the slip solution. So we're gonna go ahead and open the door. The edges tend to be a lot easier once it's dried. So all I'm gonna do is just flush. I'm gonna just flush because when I come and it's completely dried, it's gonna be far easier to basically push this down. But look at that coverage, so good. But man, it's just fun, especially when you get closer to the door and other stuff. Okay, you start really seeing the colors pop and it starts to kind of have an idea of what it will look like. And actually, we're already done with the other side, so we kind of had a sneak peek. But for you guys can see it is looking very red. So really excited. Let's get to the next panel. So we have this rear quarter panel, and one of the challenges for this one is the charge port. And what's annoying is this closes, I think, every, 2 minutes? So you have 2 minutes to do exactly all of it. Nah, but basically it will go down. So we typically like push it down and then we start the timer again. So once that's good, we're gonna go ahead and lay it out like this, okay? And go under that area. You see that? Okay, and then we're gonna go ahead and just place it in there. So you see now it's all like sliding and all this stuff. That's exactly what you want. You do have a little bit of space right here. You see what I'm saying? Okay, here we go. Now, timer starts now. I'm just gonna go ahead and split it down the middle right here. You can see that it's still getting good coverage right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray some more right here. Go ahead and try to anchor this down all up into this body line. And I have all of these. Looks fantastic right here. This is a little tricky because the material now wants to actually go in a lot of different areas. So there's a lot of ways you could do this, but the main thing is you want to pull this way. So that's exactly what I'm going to try to do. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and try to do this. I'm actually going to just go ahead and use all this and pull it across. This is not full design yet. I mean, you can obviously see it's not quite ready yet, but we got a lot of work to do. We're learning a lot. This is exactly what we're trying to do with our kit. So I got kind of this left side done. You can see that it's trying to do something. I'm going to go ahead and pull it into this area. There we go. It's definitely lightened. I basically distributed that right here, right? And I got some fingers there, no worries. And then we're gonna try to distribute this a little bit as well. Boom. Okay, great. So now my fingers are a lot less, and it's a lot, I think, more manageable. So like this one right here. Oh, maybe I'm running out of tack. Definitely want some tack right now. Okay. There you go. Go ahead and feed it in here. This is going to be fun. It's really not that bad, so I'm just going to hold it down and kind of feed it into all these areas right here. So this is what I'm talking about. Count your 2 minutes. It always happens in the most like awkward and worst times. Just be ready for that. I swear. It's like in the history of all of this. Always in a crappy time. Okay, I definitely need to trim a little bit, and then you see this is where it starts, and that's exactly where I'm gonna cut it. But you can actually start. So I just kind of pulled it across, and it actually went down very naturally into all of that actually. So right now I don't have a whole lot of tension. In this area, you should be able to just put it behind it with the tack solution. Okay, now this little scrunchies, with your fingers, slide it as much as I can. Tuck it in. That pretty much sums it up. I mean, of course, I have a couple things like trimming some of the areas out of fingers right there. Our kit isn't gonna go as deep as that, right? So I think we're gonna just go a little bit into here and then just a little bit past that, so there's no cutting. You'll be able to torch it, dry it, torch it, and then that corner should be perfectly fine. That's how you do the rear quarter panel. I mean, we're really close, and then we're gonna keep moving on. But the challenge is, if I look at it on face value right here, you see all of these fingers right here. Well, there's a couple reasons why. Well, one, there's a big body line right here that goes not just this way, but also it curves like this in a pretty aggressive way. So there needs to be a stretch for all of these fingers to go away. And then there's a massive amount right here because it actually goes all the way around. So it has to stretch. If it doesn't stretch, it's not gonna work. So what we're gonna do is do our best right here. Okay, put some tack in there. Okay, first you just want to do it a little lighter. You can see I'm not going too hard. And then after that, I do want to kind of align this bottom section right here. All of that. You can see it's still got a good amount of coverage. Now that I got this coverage, we're going to go ahead and pull this down a little bit. Okay? Just a little bit. just so I can get rid of some of those fingers. Okay, you can see right here, it's perfect, nice line. I got a really good surface right here that now sets me up to pull that way. I'll go ahead and hydrate this a little bit more. Fold it over. And then I think I'm gonna go all of this. I wasn't joking when I said aggressive. I'm gonna focus on the body line right here. Obviously I have a lot. Let's see, I could push this a little bit more, but I can do that from here. There you go. If you notice, I kind of push it into it, and then after that, it kind of stays, and that's kind of what you want to do. So I use this as a tack point right there, and then from here on out, you can actually pull up a little bit, kind of pull it into place. Okay. Okay, I'm kind of dealing with everything from up above. And then I'm going to go ahead and try to get this bottom right here. Pull it down. Oops. A little wrinkle right there. You pull this down. Yeah, that should be good. Pull this down, and look at that. It wants to go, it just wants to go down. And then it just naturally lays. Because I pushed it, if you notice, I went kind of like this, like that, I guess, and then really that lock in that corner. That was kind of by our design. We wanted to make it like that so that you have to have this stretch. If you do not have this stretch, you're gonna have these, but all over here, all over there, and so on. Look at that. It's so tiny that it's just gonna go away. And just sealing all of this. There you go. Look at that right here. So, I mean, check this out. Looks phenomenal. It's looking really good. We got a couple edges that we need to do, but that is how you do the rear bumper. You wrapped it a little past here. So when you close it, you see the red. Yeah. You know, because if you have that, you'll still see the dark. Right, yeah. But what's really cool is I didn't actually blade any of the handles. This was all fully computer cut. Wow. And it went all the way in. Whoa. Whoa. So with less than like 1 minute, we finished. See right here. What do you think, Andy?
I'm blown away. Absolutely blown away. This is more than what I could have ever asked for. It looks amazing in the bright sunlight, and that's what I love about red and why I picked this particular color is just because it had, when I was looking over the colors, this one particularly, like I took it out in the sunlight and it had like a nice bright shine to it. And then I had it inside and it looked a little bit darker, which I kind of like too. So I was like, this will look good in all different lighting. And it's just, I'm just blown away by this, and it looks absolutely amazing. And I can't wait to see the other colors that, you know, later on in the next few weeks, months of other people to like. I love this. This fits me perfectly. This red, and I think you guys so much. It's incredible.
This looks so good outside. We've been working on it inside, so when we saw it outside, it was like, it has a hint of orange, like a very, very light. I think Desto mentioned it's kind of like a red orange from Crayola, like the crayons. So it's like kind of like that, but it just has so much vibrant, you know, it's so vibrant, especially when the sun hits it. Looks even better when it's overcast. Yes. And overall, it's actually different from that. It's not an ultra red, but it is a 2018 multi-coat red. So that's actually slightly darker. This definitely has a lot more depth. So it didn't look like it had that much depth inside, but outside, phenomenal. So we're really excited. Thank you guys so much for, you know, wrapping the whole car with us. It's a long series, but, you know, make sure you click on the subscribe button and subscribe to Andy's channel as well. And we'll see you later.